channel. My name is Stacey Flowers and I'm a student of Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University and on a journey to become 100% debt free. I'm currently on baby step number 2 to debt snowball and repay 100% of all of my debts. My current debt is over $183,000. I currently earn anywhere between $1,500 and $2,000 a month as I work part-time, and my company has just opened quarter time. In this video, I'm going to be going over my budget for June 2018. So if you're interested in that, please keep watching. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but I am happy. Like, I'm so stinking excited about moving into the month of July. June was a good month, so let's review. I always like to start my budget report cards out with a review because I like tracking more than just the dollars and cents. I like to track my experiences. And so my first question is, what are you grateful for? And the number one thing that I am grateful for in the month of June is my skin. I have mentioned to you all that, you know, with me moving and, you know, just trying to figure out my budget, like my skin was really just having a whole entire fit, and it just has been this month that so much has cleared up, and it has just been doing its job of like protecting me and glowing and just being healthy and vibrant. And I'm so grateful for my skin, and then also like the skin on my face. It has been super hot here in Chicago, and so it's not like makeup wearing weather, and I'm not a makeup person, but I do wear, like, you know, a little bit of foundation and things like that. And over the last couple of days, like, I have not been able to wear makeup because it is hot. And I'm just grateful that, like, you know, my skin, although it has imperfections, like my face looks nice on its own. I'm just really grateful for that. And so yeah, that's the number one thing that I'm grateful for. The second thing that I'm grateful for is my home, like my new space. Like, I love my apartment. Like, I adore this space, okay? My little office nook, that's probably the space where I spend the most time, because I also adore my work, and I've just been able to get so many projects, like, just I'm moving through the task of getting those prepared for launch, and it feels so good. I'm learning my kitchen, and, you know, I'm organizing things, and, you know, I want to get back to my recipe videos and stuff. And as I'm getting familiar with my kitchen, it's just like, you know, I'm just falling in love with my space. I'm so grateful for it. Like, I love it. I love everything about it. And then the third thing that I'm grateful for is the time, right? Like, I am grateful that I stayed committed to my decision to work part-time, and not shift my why, not shift my decision. I'm grateful that I work part-time. I'm grateful that I only open my company quarter time, because this month, you know, I released major emotions, and in me releasing major emotions, there were like residual effects where I was just like wiped out emotionally, where I just like stayed in the bed and cried all day, or I just took naps all day long, like, because it's heavy work to share some of the things that I shared, but also to realize some of the truths that I realized. And I'm grateful that I had the time to process that. Like, I'm grateful that I didn't process shame and then turn around and have to go to work tomorrow morning and then be distracted because my brain actually needs to work to produce work product. Like, I am grateful that, like, I have created time in my life to do this emotional work, which is incredibly important to me. So incredibly grateful for time. So those are the three things that I am grateful for. What worked this month? The major thing that worked this month was releasing those negative emotions that were dramatically negatively impacting my budget. I always knew that I was emotional about money. I think I've been saying that since the #1 video, but I had no idea that these 3 specific emotions were driving such piss poor behavior. Like, I did not know that I was resentful. Like, and I think I didn't know I was resentful because in general, my personality is fairly optimistic. You know, I really am a happy-go-lucky person. And so the part of me that I'm aware of, like, majority of the day, is like, where would I have resentment, right? Like, and then I think I also associated resentment with like being resentful because, you know, your boyfriend cheated or something like that. Like, being resentful because of a circumstance in your present day. Had no idea that I was resentful because of what happened when I was a very young person. Like, I did not know that I resented that experience, and that resentment was driving, like, did not know. Same thing with like shame. Like, had no idea that shame was keeping me small. Had no idea that guilt was making me be very weird with different categories. Like, it was fascinating to see how these emotions were driving my behavior. So the number one thing that worked was releasing those emotions. What didn't work? Everything really worked this month. This was an amazing month. So I can't really say that there wasn't anything that didn't work. Well, let me say something. I would say the thing that I need to pay attention to when I'm doing my budget is the month that I'm in, right? So like last month, Father's Day was in June, but I spaced on it because it was like my birthday month, and you know, I had this big intention of releasing emotions that I totally spaced on Father's Day. So I forgot that I wanted to offer gifts in that month. And so I think I just need to be a lot more on top of like the specifics about the month. Like for example, going into July, there's 4th of July, there's my son's birthday, there's things that are happening in the month of July. And so that would be the thing that didn't work, is me forgetting about the other special days or special things that happen in that month. What do I need to start doing? Again, everything worked this month, but I would say something that really worked this month was the cash envelopes. And so I think I need to designate a few more of my lifestyle categories to cash envelopes, and I want to figure out how to get in front of my cash envelopes. So you guys know how like I pay my rent. So June rent was paid in May. July rent is already paid, if that makes sense. So I want to almost get to the point where my cash envelopes the month before takes care of the spending that I'm going to do in that month, and so on and so forth. So that's what I want to start doing, is just becoming more efficient with my cash envelopes. That would be the language there. The thing that I need to stop doing, I don't know. I think just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm in a really good place right now financially. So just keep doing what I'm doing. My intention for the month of July, is to earn more money. And it's funny because like when I was trying to come up with my intention, my first answer was shift your mindset to abundance. And I was just like, no, Stacey, like you did some great emotional work, but you cannot stay all emotional work. It's okay for you to do some things, right? Like it's okay for you to do the work. Not that emotional work isn't work, but it doesn't require me to do practical things. And I don't want to only do emotional work to the point where I'm not actually doing anything practically. And so this month I want to focus on doing something practical, and that practical thing that I want to focus on doing is earning money. And so then my next question is, what will support me in meeting this intention? And I think the biggest thing that will support me in meeting this intention is for me to make offers to my target market. So my company is open part-time. Obviously I'm earning from my company, and I can make more offers to my target market because people are enjoying my services, people are enjoying my products. And I think, yeah, that's the big thing. If I'm gonna earn more money, I need to make more offers. How will I measure this intention? I will measure this intention by the net income that I make over what my average income. And then the last question is, why is it important to meet this intention? And you know, it's a couple of reasons. The first thing that came to me is that it's just time. Like, you know, I feel really awesome, and I feel really good, and I feel sound. And so I feel good about offering services that support and serve other people. And so in that regard, it's time. Like I am feeling the way that I like to feel when I'm serving people at that scale, right? Because I'm serving people through these videos, but the scale is different than when I'm serving people in other ways that my company serves people. So that a little bit is just time. But I think also from like a more internal sort of a perspective, like I'm just ready to manage higher quality problems. And what I mean by that is like lower quality problems are, you know, am I going to be able to pay my rent? What am I going to eat for the week? Can I afford this dress? Those are lower quality problems. Higher quality problems are, I want to figure out how many speaking gigs do I need to book in order to provide free speaking events to people who can't afford my speaking fees, right? Like that's the type of problem that I kind of want to work on right now. I want to have the quality problem of, I have so many people who want to book me to speak, or so many people who want my services, that I need to figure out how to create a wait list. So I just want to start to manage higher quality problems in my company. And then also I want to manage higher quality problems for myself personally. So that's why it's important. It's just, it feels like it's time. And if I learned anything from my moving experience, from me, opening up my company and then, changing, it's like when I feel ready to do something, that is the best time for me to do it. And when I delay, I experience a little bit more suffering than what's necessary. So it's time because, it's important because it's time, and it's important because I want higher quality problems. So that is my reflection for June 2018. Let's go over my shoulder and take a look at these numbers. Okay, so we are looking at June 2018. As you can see up here, it is an every dollar budget. I am going to be a little bit more chatty in this video because I do want to explain some things that I learned about the Every Dollar app. I'm thinking about doing a separate video about it, so let me know if you guys want to see a separate video. But let's take a look at the numbers. Per hour, my weekly check-ins, my paycheck one for my part-time job, I planned $500. I received $544.34. For paycheck two, I planned $500. I received $397.46. From my company, I planned $1,500 and I received $1,500. And then gifts, there was no plan for gifts, but I did receive $85 in gifts this month. Some people were asking whether or not my company's salary was net or gross. That is net, so that is after taxes and after company expenses. This is how much I was that I paid myself for the month of June. So my total planned income was $2,500. My total income received was $2,526.80, which I am really excited about, getting so close to my original budgeted amount. I do understand that I significantly underestimated my paycheck two, significantly overestimated my paycheck two, but I'm grateful that in many regards, my paycheck was able to balance out with the overage that I got from paycheck one, and then also from gifts. But I wanted to make note of that because I had mentioned how I was starting to become ashamed of my part-time income, and so I was picking up hours. But when I don't pick up hours, typically, I think when I started this, it was like $800 to $1,000. So that's about $400 every 2 weeks, or $500 every 2 weeks, depending on how many hours I get. So I'm excited to see those numbers return to their original amount. And so my income for June was $2,526.80. I'm super proud of that number. Coming down, in my giving section, I paid $250 in tithes, which is 10% of my income. I paid $190 in child support, $50 in commission, which is the language I use for my son's allowance, and then $10.69 for my son's Apple iTunes account. So the total amount that I contributed to my financial responsibility as a parent was $250.69, or 10% of my income, which is a new intention that I have in regards to my contribution as a parent. So over here, you can see that my giving percentage of my income was at 20%. I'm excited about that number. I think that that's a really great number. Now coming down to the emergency fund, what I planned was $301.50. Now, if you look at this category, I did not put anything in spent because, and I'm going to pop this down here for you guys here on the side as well. The reason I don't have anything in the spent category, because if I put, for example, if I write in here that I paid myself $301.50, right? If I put that in there, oops, not that. Sorry guys, definitely not that. We're gonna change that number. Not that yet. Let's go there. 301.50. Okay. So if I put in here that I paid myself $301.50, what this shows, so you see how I added that number here, it shows that I had $301.50. what it shows is the $98.50 that I have remaining in my savings account after having spent some of my savings. So when I was first doing the Every Dollar budget, I was like, well, how do I track whether or not I'm actually saving? Like, why can't I put that in out of this paycheck? I put 301 in there. Why can't it show that I spent it? And what I realized is that it doesn't show up as an expense, and it doesn't show that I spent it because savings is not an expense and I'm not spending money. So the reason I cannot track what I'm spending there is because I'm not spending it. This is technically money that would still be in my account. I've chosen to hold my first baby emergency fund in cash, but it was a really wonderful thing to realize that for the last 4 months as I've been using this app, what I didn't realize is every time I put planned income here, it was just adding that up and adding that up and adding that up, even if I wasn't actually putting that money there. So the way that I track my savings is by adding money to the planned category, not by adding spent to the spent category. And so if you come over here all the way over, it shows my starting balance is $98.50, which I told you guys that was from gifts and things that I had received from people throughout this journey that's been sitting in my account. What I planned this month was $301.50. That brings my balance to $400. So I wanted to point that out to you guys before I change this number, because as you know, my emergency fund is at $500. So I have to change this plan amount to an additional $100 to reflect in my next month that my emergency fund is fully funded. I know it's a little bit confusing, which is the reason why I said potentially I can do another video about it, but the long of it is that I love how the Every Dollar app is forcing me to use the right words to express what I'm doing with money. Because I paid myself or set aside $350 is not the same thing as me spending money or me spending money on an expense. And so that is why I can't track it here. So I'm going to change that. I'm not going to change it yet, because if I change this number, it's going to switch me out of an Every Dollar budget check mark. And before I do that, I want you guys to be able to see the rest of my numbers. But just know that we're going to come back up to savings. So now let's go down to my housing. In my housing, my rent is $845 this month. I paid $585.40, and that's because that is what I was billed. Because what I didn't know that I know now is that in addition to me getting the look and lease bonus, I also, in Chicago, I don't know if this is all Chicago or if this is just my leasing company, but you don't pay a security deposit, you pay a move-in fee, and then after your first month or something, 30 days, I don't know what the time period is, you get that fee back. And so you are not back, but you get it deducted off of your rent. And so I got it deducted off of my rent, and so my rent for July is only $585.40, which I paid in full, and I'm super pumped about that, because if I change this to remaining, you can see that I had an additional $259.60 left over in my budget because my planned rent costs were not what they were expected, which is super incredible. And this is why you got to do a budget, man, because I planned for this, which means I was prepared for that, and not having to pay that frees up this for me to be able to do other things with. So let's continue going. So my electricity bill, the bill that I got when I first moved into my apartment, I want to say on like May 7th or 10th, I got a bill for $1.88. On June 10th, I got a full 30 days. So I am assuming that the $1.88 was just for the pay cycle that they chose to. And so rather than me just paying the $1.88, which would have technically made me past due, I paid the $1.88 and what I was billed from the rest of May to mid-June, if that makes sense. And so even though I planned $1.88, I spent $24.78, which that doesn't put me over budget, because again, I have a little bit of a remaining here from the unexpected lower cost of my rent expense. My gas bill was $25. Let me change this back to spent. My gas bill, oh, I'm sorry, it was $188, and then I didn't spend the $24 that was remaining. So my first bill was $188, then I got another bill, and that total came to $26.66. Then my gas bill, I budgeted $25. The gas bill wound up being $20 even. For my phone bill, I budgeted $35.82. It was $35.82. So Housing was an amazing, super fantastic, sort of a winning ish month because of the great savings with my July rent. And if you come over here and you look at my housing, with me paying the full amount of my rent and me having the income that I had this month, it's only 36% of my income, which is a really good space to be in for your housing costs. So now I want to come down to my grocery budget. I have given myself $100, and I spent I gave myself $100, and I spent $57.80, and I really just think that that's habit. I know that I think there's a couple factors. One is just the habit of spending about $50 a month in groceries, and then two, this was my birthday month, and so I had several friends like take me out and stuff like that, so maybe I had fewer meals. I can't really say. I will say that I ate out a lot this month, not out of my pocket, but I definitely ate out more this month than I usually do. But I would also say that I'm just in the habit of spending $50, and so I didn't wind up spending that entire $100 on groceries, which is also a really nice reduction of expense that I wasn't expecting. So that was also really nice. For transportation, I planned $100 and I spent $35.11. And if you come over here, you see all these smaller charges, and most of that is just Uber. It has been very, very hot, and I have like maybe a 10-minute walk to the beach, and so most of the activities that I want to do outside, I literally can just walk to the beach. I can walk to work. I can walk to the grocery store. I pretty much can walk everywhere I want to go. And some of these Ubers were to get to therapy, or just to get a little bit further. But I originally planned on getting a bus pass, but it just wound up being not something that I needed, and much cheaper for me to just do a couple of Ubers. So I spent $35.11, which is really nice because remaining from my transportation budget is $64.89, which is like super amazing. Then we come down to my health insurance, which is $102.31. Spent $102.31. My renter's insurance is $575. I spent $575. My computer, as you all know, was a steal for $150, and I spent $150. My household pantry was $15. I spent $10 of my $15. My personal hygiene budget, I believe I talked about in the week 2 update. It was $50, but it went $64.85. Laundry, I had originally planned $10 and I spent $0. Some of that is because I have realized that I need to wash my clothes by hand because I have a very limited wardrobe right now, and washing and drying is shredding my clothes. So I'm going to be doing washing by hand and hanging to dry. I spent $25 on clothing for myself. Planned for that, spent that $20 in pocket money, spent $20 in pocket money. I planned for a $50 doctor's bill, but I wound up not getting a doctor's bill, so I'm super excited that my insurance covered my doctor's visits in May. I planned $25 for vitamins, but I didn't spend that $25 for vitamins just because the particular brand of vitamins for 2 of the vitamins my doctor recommended, they didn't have those, and so I just wanted to wait until they had them in stock. Planned $70 for therapy, spent $70 in therapy. Here's where we're a little bit over budget. Homemaking was $27.05. In week 2, I explained how I was able to carry over with gifts that I had received that I had in cash. I spent $35.41. I got birthday money of $20, and I spent that on a book, 2 books for $18.74. And then for gifts here, I told you guys about the gifts that I purchased for Father's Day. But the other portion of gifts that I wanted to acknowledge is that I set $200 aside for my son's 16th birthday. He will be turning 16 next month, and so I wanted to set some money aside for sending him a very special birthday gift. And so with some of the reduced expenses that I had earlier, I was able to actually do that without stress, and I'm very grateful and excited about that. When we come down to debts, my minimum on my PayPal is $15. And if you look over here, I finally actually completed this and filled it out correctly. So I was able to put my balance in here. When I pay it, it shows how much I paid off. It shows what my starting balance is. It shows my minimum payment, and it also shows if I pay extra. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that change. And the same thing here with City Girl Events. It shows original balance. And I think starting balance is literally what was last month. It's not like original starting balance and the minimum, etc. So that is where I am for debts. So overall, looking at June's budget, I am very, 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 very happy with June's budget. And I want to come, so this says planned and it shows all my percentages. I want to come to spent. So spent, it shows that I spent $2,046 of my $2,526.80. So for those of you who may be wondering, okay, well, how are you able to fund your emergency fund? If you look at the way that my emergency fund was set up, obviously I planned 301.50, which isn't subtracted, sorry, that moved, which isn't subtracted from this 2,000 here, and then I had 98.50 already. So I was really just $100 away from a fully funded emergency fund. So with this amount that's planned here, and if I change this, even if I change it, I don't think it's going to actually change the spend amount because I still didn't spend it, did I? So it still doesn't change the spend amount. But when I change, see, I don't know how to explain that to you guys, but I'm going to change that for tracking purposes for next month. I just want you guys to understand the reason why it's not reflecting that I spent over here is because I technically, when you're saving it, you're not spending it, right? When you're saving it, you're not spending it. So that's why if you take the 2,046 minus the 200, okay. If you take the $2,526.80 minus the $2,046, you will have at least $401.50 left over. But you will also have a little bit more left over simply because there are other places like $5 here. What was remaining here? $64 here, $42 here, where even though I planned to spend it, I didn't spend it all. So there was a little bit of over cash flow this month, if that makes sense. So I'm actually moving into July with my $500 emergency fund. Just encourage you guys to bear with me. And bear with me as I'm explaining and exploring the app, but just know that this was a really, really good month where I was able to do some amazing things. So now that I've changed this to 401.50, you can see here it shows that I'm $100 over budget, but that's simply because my planned categories, based off of what I planned, I would be over budget. But if I actually change this number to what I paid, for example, my housing to what I paid, I would no longer be over budget. I'm not going to change that because I want to see the differences between what I planned versus what I actually spent. I want a accurate historical analysis of what was planned and what was spent. And so for the month of June, in terms of grades, I get, an A for income because I made very close to the dollar of what I planned to make. I get an A for meeting my intentions of releasing shame, guilt, and resentment. I also get an A for unexpectedly funding my emergency fund. And then I get another A for sticking to my budgets and the new priorities that I set with respect to my son and all of those different things. The only negative grade that I get is for me not for my son's gifts, but for me not being aware that Father's Day was coming. And that's not a terribly negative grade, but that would be the only thing that would bring me down. So I would say for the month of June, I'm getting a solid A. I met my intention, I saved my emergency fund, I stayed within my budget or under budget, and I reallocated leftover money to the priorities that I have in my life. And it is an amazing thing to be able to do that. And I'm so super proud. I'm like, what in the world? It's like night and day from last month to this month, or from the first month to this month. And I'm so freaking grateful. So I hope that this budget update was helpful for you guys. And I say this all the time, and it's simply because I mean it. I deeply appreciate you all for supporting my work. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, this is my budget report card for June, and this is the first A that I have given myself in this entire journey, and I am 1,000% happy, proud, and grateful for this A. So I deeply appreciate you all for supporting my work, and I look forward to talking to you all very soon. Bye.